So I don't know if you remember me. I actually interviewed you about 2 years ago for 211.
Yeah, 211. Yeah, I remember you on the list.
Yeah, it was a cool movie.
Well, good to chat with you again.
Yeah, sure. You know what? I think I like this film even more than 211. How did Disturbing the Peace come about?
Yeah, so I was just coming off of 211, and we were kind of looking to continue on that vein of film that we were doing. There was some stuff that I still wanted to accomplish kind of in that genre at that budget. And so that one just, came across our plate through offers that we get through the agency. And it had Guy Pearce already attached to the project, and so that was obviously, a big plus as well to get an opportunity to work with an actor like that.
Nice. Yeah, what was that relationship like?
Well, we didn't really have a previous relationship to the film, unfortunately. When I got attached to it, we were already greenlit, so I was on set within just a couple weeks of signing on. So we got a chance to meet pretty much right there on set, and start working together. And it was a very unique situation, I can say. It was one of the best actor-director relationships, obviously, I've ever had. When you work with someone like that who's got that level of experience, with just the many different directors they've worked with, and especially the choices that he's made. He's worked on such amazing material with such strong filmmakers that, his bag of tricks is very full. And he's not the kind of guy who's just coming to kind of phone it in and show up on the day and do the work. We spent an enormous amount of time together the nights before or even, during lunch, where we would break down the character, break down the scene, where's that character coming from, where they're going to, really discuss all the internal aspects of the character and the backstory stuff that you don't see in the film, but, a lot of the actors need that for themselves. And we would spend an enormous amount of time working on that, which was a real pleasure because he makes a very fun environment when doing that. So it just makes a really great experience and a lot of creativity that, I feel like definitely enhances the film when you're in that type of situation, because you're making decisions and creative choices, knowing with all the tools that you have right there to work with. You know what your set looks like. You know what the other actor is. So I think it definitely expands the film when doing that.
Nice. Great. So the film has a great cast aside from Guy. Devon Sawa, what was it like working with him?
Yeah, Devon Sawa, another one. I haven't worked with Devon. Obviously, I know who Devon is. He's, been someone who, he's from my generation, working actor his whole life and in a lot of iconic stuff I've seen. So, he shows up, and all I know is he shows up one day to set, and this guy was in wardrobe. He was a character. This guy came to work, and he brought such a great energy to every single scene, a real intensity because he's playing a villain. Right. And he's playing a very physical character as well, riding motorcycles. And, Devon's not necessarily the most experienced Harley rider in the world, and he's jumping on Harleys, and he's doing his own stunts. And, it just really brought such an athletic approach to, this character, knowing that he's got so much experience as an actor and where he wanted to go to with everything that he was doing, but also bringing a great physicality to everything as well, which is important for actors, to bring a physical performance.
Did that make you a little nervous, him doing all his own stunts?
It does. I mean, a little bit, but, I'm someone who kind of got my start doing stunts, and, I feel comfortable with the people that are there controlling the stunt aspect of it. So I'm someone that says, look, I want to look great. I want it to be real. I want it to be, as high energy as possible within whatever parameters you guys set for it. He's in control of his body and what he wants to do. You guys are in control of, the safety of the stunt, because it's all you if someone gets hurt. So I'm just going to say what I'd like to see, and, you guys, I'll lay it out and figure out how to play it out.
Nice. I love that level of trust.
Yeah, I mean, but then I'm watching, and then, I stay organic in the moment. So if I'm seeing things aren't working or they're not getting there, we'll make adjustments at that moment. I can pull it, put the guy in, or I'll add a shot to the sequencing to accommodate something.
Okay. So you've done this film, you've done 211. What is your fascination with the action genre?
I really love all genres of filmmaking. If you kind of look at my history, I've done a lot of different genres. I started out doing drama. I love the aspect of storytelling. And I think that when you take that back to the early fundamentals, you're using pictures and sound. So if you only have pictures to tell a story, then the term motion picture comes into play, motion within the picture, you know? And so if you want to take that to the limit, because that's what I like to do, is take everything to the limit, where can you get the most movement in your pictures, you know, and that's action. So I'm somebody who really loves old filmmaking and old storytelling, and that's why I started out doing a lot of dramatic stuff. But I really want to push the envelope with the cinematography and the action elements of filmmaking and bring that drama back into those types of films. So that's kind of what my goal is with being in that genre right now, to just get, you know, some good heavy drama back into some beautiful action sequences and have those really strong, well-rounded films that we used to have back in the 80s, 90s.
Right. And I love the fight choreography and the gun battles in this movie. Was that challenging filming those scenes?
It is. You know, you've got, on a film like this where you don't have the biggest budget and you've got a limited time of shooting, you really have to have, to really know what you're doing and how you want those to look, because you don't have, not all the actors have had an enormous amount of time previous to filming to do all the choreography. And you're in some sets that are very confined, and they're not necessarily set up for stunts to be taking place inside of them. These are practical locations. You're filming inside of a restaurant, and that's actually the restaurant with the restaurant tables and chairs and stuff like that. So just working around all of those parameters, keeping everybody safe. But once again, you got really good stunt guys on there, and most of the scenes, a stunt guy is actually in the scenes. I tend to give those roles to the stunt guys, knowing, okay, they're going to be in the scene with the actors, so if something happens, it's a stunt guy taking a hit, they're accustomed to it. Not that I ever like to see that happen. You know, we don't, it's throw them to the wolves, you know, just so they do sense. You have to protect them even more in a sense, but they know what they're getting into, and they're trained for that kind of stuff. So they move very quickly, I guess is what I'm getting at. If something's coming, they can see it, they can prepare, and they're a little more
was this
able
the most
to push those scenes.
Was this the most stunt-heavy film you've done so far?
Yes, it was the most fight-heavy film. You know, there's so many different types of stunts nowadays. So with these action films, I've done heavy gun battles. There's a specific way of sequencing those and shooting those. We've done heavy fight sequences now. There's a very specific way of doing those. And you just kind of, I think, have to look at every one of them with how is the audience going to perceive this within this whole story. You know, even within the action, it still comes back to telling that story with those pictures. So you want to have a vulnerability in one of the characters and aggression in the other, you know, whatever it might be that the scene structure is calling for, your action still needs to be in line with all of that.
Okay. What were some of the other challenges you faced on set?
Just the standard daily trials and tribulations of filmmaking with, you know, production. It's not having a lot of time to set stuff up, and so you've got, I guess, to be specific on Disturbing the Peace, one of the biggest issues we had on this film, I just remembered it, was all of our weapons got flagged by the FBI at the airport. So we brought in all these prop guns. They weren't even real. They're plastic. We fly them all in from L.A., and I meet them the next day, and they get flagged at the airport.
Oh, God.
And by the FBI. And the FBI is going to open the boxes, look through everything. They can't say what is going to happen. And so my prop guys are scrambling. I mean, they're in every single pawn shop in Kentucky trying to get guns. And, you know, luckily we're in Kentucky. It's fairly easy to find a firearm lying around Kentucky. So, but, you know, we had to have firearms taken in, firing pins taken out of them, barrels for, you know, there was so much stuff for safety. So just stuff like that happens on every single film. You never know sitting and watching it.
Right.
But the production is continually dealing with stresses. I think that's, for anyone who's been on a set, you'll see the look in some of those production coordinators' faces, and you can kind of see what they're going through. And a lot of it, you know, we don't see, because their job is to keep that from us so that the actors and the creative side of it isn't being affected by any of that.
Right, of course. So you said you filmed in Kentucky. What was it like finding the location for the film?
Well, the location was already found. Kentucky is one of those new states. You know, a lot of these productions are looking for tax deals and co-production and stuff like that. And so Kentucky's got a really good film commission right now, trying to bring a lot of work to their area. Louisville has a big college there, and a lot of the kids that are coming out of that college are coming out of the arts programs. And you've got some productions now taking place out there and some equipment. So a lot of stuff going there. So the film was already set to go in Kentucky. My job was just to go and pick locations at that point. And so I flew in. I hit the ground early before anyone did. I realized how cinematic Kentucky is in general, just the landscape of it, the architecture, the old world architecture, the different walks of life. You've got Amish, you know, you've got wealthy, very poor. You have all of that going on there. So once, you know, it actually wasn't a hard thing to find good locations because it's almost like anywhere you look, it's good, you know. The key really was finding a place where I could have a small little town still, and I could shut those roads down and disrupt too many people's lives for 18 days. And that's always a big issue, you know. So we were fortunate that Kentucky had a few options, and we chose Horse Cave as our main location, a small little town right outside of Cave City, which Cave City is really just a freeway out there with a truck stop. It's like the cutest little town, you know, the cutest little people, but very small.
You could even call the town like a character all on its own. So
exactly. That's what I was getting at. You know, is that you want something that feels like its own character. You know, Kentucky gives you that. It gives you so much extra production value. Those set decorators aren't going to have to go in there and make that a small town. It is a small town. That you couldn't go in and design it better than have it just already existed on its own. Sometimes you walk out there and you're just like, this is a set. You know, you feel like you're back by the whistle.
That's very funny. Yeah, it looked very. It was weird. It looked a little artificial, but it looked really it looked real as well. So kudos on location choice.
It's sad. It's sad to go out there and see a lot of these beautiful towns that have this history dating back to like early 1800s and out there and older. You know, 1700s. And to see these and to see them dying like that, and they're so beautiful. You know, you run around Los Angeles and you know all you see is concrete and a few palm trees maybe here or there, and that's where everyone wants to be. But you go to these places that are just so beautiful, and these old plantation homes that you know are on land, and they're just dying towns. It's hard to see that, you know. But with that comes that production value, you know, the dilapidation of buildings, how most set designers like to build their stuff. They like that old barn wood and all the materials. So this is where this is already existing.
Right. So York, what do you hope audiences take away from Disturbing the Peace?
You know, I'm not looking for any big emotional shift or, you know, some message. I think that we were really trying to do an homage back to the 80s films and fun action movies like Roadhouse and stuff like that. So it's really just a film for a dad and his son to go watch and have some fun and talk about it afterward, you know, and see some guns and see some Harleys and see girls and just in a time when everyone's so serious and so involved in everyone else's decision choices, that it's nice to just go see something that's just fun, and I think just kind of takes you back to just the root of who you are as a guy. You just want to ride a Harley and, you know, shoot your gun in the air and admire some girls.
Yeah, no, and this film definitely does that. I love seeing Guy Pearce in this role. This is actually one of my favorite films of his now. It was a really deep performance, and he killed it. It's great.
I appreciate it. Yeah, he brings it. I don't think he'll ever give a bad performance. I don't think he does. He's just one of those guys that, you know, he comes to bring. He was born for this. He's bred for it, and he's multi-talented. I mean, the guy's a singer, songwriter, musician. You know, he plays guitar. He's got an album that's out now. You'd really, I think, be impressed by the songs and the stuff that he writes. It's from the heart. It's very deep, emotional stuff. And it's not, I don't think, what you'd expect from him. But I don't know if a lot of people have even, you know, are experiencing his music yet. But he's directing. He's doing a lot of different stuff. So he's got a lot in him.
So York, last question: How's the skateboarding? Are you still doing that?
I'm not competing, that's for sure, but I go snowboard a lot for fun. I was out for New Year's a little bit. So.
Okay.
Yeah, just for fun. You know, it's something that when you're young and you're growing up and you're doing something like that, traveling around, it's just life-building experiences, and it's still to this day the one thing that I dream about. I wake up and I'll have been snowboarding all night in my dreams, so I do it. For me now, it's a getaway. I don't know if you've ever snowboarded, but being up on top of a really large mountain, getting dropped off in a helicopter all by yourself,
Nice.
gear, and everyone's gone, and it's like you're up there all by yourself, about to go down this big mountain, and there's just nothing you can accomplish, and there's no one there with you, and you're just kind of in this fresh air with this, you know, clean energy blowing past you in the wind, and there's just something about that for me that's very spiritual, and I know a lot of other people that snowboard experience that as well. It's really getting in touch with yourself and nature.
Yeah, I went skiing once in my life and never again. It was just too much.
No, it's not for everybody. The lodges are fun. The lodges are fun too.
Cool. So York, are there any other projects you can talk about now, or just wait and see?
I'm working on something right now. We just got our contract done, so I can talk a little bit about it now. We're going to do a little bit of a bigger budget. This is going to be some action adventure, but based on a true story. There was a guy named Paul Watson, and he started Sea Shepherd. They're the ships, the activists that go out and try to stop whaling, all the Japanese illegal whalers. He's kind of the wild man that goes in and crashes into them, and he's been doing this for a very long time. Now they've got fleets of boats that go and do this, and he's written a book about his whole experience. And so, you know, we're going to do something that dealing a little bit more with activism and what's going on in society right now.
Cool. Will Guy Pearce be in that, or a different actor?
No, this guy's going to be in that one, but we're casting right now. We've got some good names already, so we'll come out with it. You know, next time we should do something previous before the film, because I can, you know, give you something I'm going to put out there before we shoot.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? If you're ever in New York, we'd love to have you stop at the studio for an in-person interview.
Oh, that'd be killer. Yeah, I plan on coming out there pretty soon. I'm just going to get this next picture pretty much greenlit to go, and then once I got my start date, maybe we'll set something up, and I'll come out and do that with you before I shoot it.
Cool. Sounds great. Well, York.
Okay, awesome, man. Well, I look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, the film is great. How can people see it? Is it on digital?
Yeah, so January 17th, we're coming out in theaters, and we've got a pretty good release. It's going to be in almost every single state. So anybody that wants to see it in theater will have a chance to, fairly close to where they live. But we're in a day and date with all pay-per-view and on-demand. So you can catch it at home on opening day as well.
Sweet. Well, York, thank you so much for your time today. It was great catching up with you again, and best of luck to you in the film.